Welcome back to the ADSA Scientific Sessions. With me today as co-host is Dr. Clay Zimmerman, and in this corner is Luke Lines. Our guest today is Alex Tebbe from Purina Mills. Alex, welcome. Would you mind giving us just kind of a little bit of background about yourself? And yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm a frequent viewer of it. You guys do a great job. And so my background, originally from Southern Illinois, grew up there in a dairy populated area. That's kind of where I got my interest. Went to the University of Illinois.
How far south, like down around Effingham?
Yes, yeah, I live about an hour straight east of St. Louis, in Clinton County, Illinois. And
Ski.
yeah, the home of ski.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the most dairy farms in Illinois. There's not a lot of dairy cows there, but the most dairy farms. And I got my interest to go off and seek nutrition. I was at a meeting for DHI and met Mike Hutchins there, and then I got to the University of Illinois, and that's where I was very fortunate to get mentored by George Fahey, who really challenged me to go to grad school versus vet school, and I really enjoyed nutrition, but I liked dairy nutrition, and George focused more on pet nutrition. So I said, George, what do I have to do next? And he said, well, go to Jim Drakely, who's a nutritionist at University of Illinois as well, and
We actually had him on the podcast earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yesterday.
Excellent. And he said, ask him for a list of names. And I was very fortunate that Bill Weiss's name was on that list. And I emailed Bill and sent him my resume and said, I'd like to be your master's student. And within 5 minutes, he had replied back to me and said,
like
let's set up an interview. And from there on, the rest is history. I went to Ohio State. I did my master's and my PhD with Bill there.
You were up at Worcester?
Yep,
the whole time?
up.
Yeah.
Well, I started in Columbus, spent 2 semesters there, then went up to Worcester, where Bill was located at the OARDC research station, and spent 4 years up there with him doing research.
And now you're with Purina?
Yeah. So now I'm with Purina. I do tech support and consulting for the company. I cover Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. So a lot of supporting local guys as well as some of our own consultants, and then I work with some clients myself.
Yeah, I'm sure you know Dwight Rosler.
Yes, yeah. Also another mentor of mine. It was truly an honor. The year I graduated, Bill, of course, got inducted into the Hall of Fame, but so did Dwight. 2 guys I look very highly up to.
Yeah, Dwight and I were dorm mates back in the day.
Oh, really?
Many years ago.
Yeah.
So he's one of my favorite people. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's the one person I don't have dirt on, so maybe we can talk later.
I don't think
here.
there is any dirt.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I agree. So you're giving a presentation tomorrow, I believe it is. Can you kind of give us what the objective and the content of that talk's going to be?
Yeah, so it's going to focus a lot on transition cows, both the dry period and that fresh period. And I'm really going to focus on talking about both periods, but how both of those periods are so influential to that cow's long-term performance. I'm not going to focus a ton about health, is kind of what Bill challenged me to do, but more so on the milk production and that side of how we can really hone in on the nutrition of dry cows and fresh cows to produce a lot of milk in the future of those cows.
Very well. Turn over to Clay and Luke.
So Alex, related to your talk tomorrow, what you're going to hit on? Will you hit on some specific topics? Maybe nitrogen amino acid nutrition.
Yeah. So that will be a portion of it. I was only given 35 minutes to talk about a pretty broad and an exciting area, but I'll focus a little bit on protein and amino acid nutrition really trying to understand more the differences between first lactation and mature cows, both in that dry period as well as the post-fresh period, and how influential meeting the protein demands of those cows are, but also balancing for amino acids.
Great, great. And the symposium tomorrow
Yes.
is in honor of who?
Yeah, so it is in honor of a truly influential man to the world of applied nutrition, Bill Weiss. So very honored to speak on his behalf. He's truly a very legendary person, I think, in our field.
Yes.
And I might be biased, but I think he is. You
No,
would agree.
I would definitely agree with that.
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of interesting. I was one of his first grad students, and you were, I think, his last grad student.
I was the one that made him retire, I guess.
Luke, now I didn't introduce you yet. Why don't you go ahead and do that? You've introduced yourself as Bill's first grad student, but what else do you do?
Not quite Bill's first grad
First,
student.
but one of the first.
But I think I was either second or
You
third.
didn't discourage him from retiring at that point.
No, I must have done okay because he had a lot of grad students after me. So, but I've been with Balchem 11 years, and I'm the Eastern Regional Manager for Balchem. And I think it's due to Bill Weiss that I got into this industry, and I've been doing it now for 28 years. And I remember when I first started, I didn't know anything real about dairy. And Bill took a kid that grew up in the urban setting of Columbus, Ohio, and taught me a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah, he mentioned you when I was a grad student as well, Luke, and I'll tell you this, when he talked about, and I asked about his previous grad students and stuff, he said that you were the best one that he's had. So.
He's a good liar. He's a good liar.
And in all seriousness, he said that you were the hardest working, and so yeah.
I may have been the hardest working, but probably not the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he gave it. I mean, it was just, he knew that I didn't have a dairy background, and he was like, hey, Luke, I'm going to set you up. You're going to manage ATI dairy farm. You're going to get that dairy experience, and then the on research at the OARDC, the total collection digestion trial site there. That was just, I mean, he was just such a great person to work with. He participated with you. He was in there with you. He was milking the cows with you. It was truly a great experience.
Yeah. We're quite fond of Bill here at the Real Science Exchange. He does our journal clubs for us. And we were actually going to record a couple this week, but unfortunately, Bill is he's stuck in Newark, New Jersey, of all places. Yeah. He's been there a couple days. I think I'm going to take a road trip tonight and see if I can go pick him up. So you guys are welcome to join me if you'd like.
I wanted to ask you if you had any favorite Bill Weiss story.
Favorite Bill Weiss story. But before that, I wanted to touch on one thing with Bill and just how fortunate I was to work with him. Luke, you touched on it, that no matter how busy he was, I mean, I watched that guy do 3 international trips in 1 week and probably hadn't slept 12 hours in that week. No matter what, he always had time for his grad students. And there was a kind of funny story that I talk about sometimes, that he prepared me so well. When you're doing your master's, when you're doing your PhD, you have your final exam, basically, that you take, and your committee members ask you a bunch of really hard questions. And to prepare me for that, every Friday leading up to those, he would bring me to his office and ask me really hard questions for 2 hours. And oh man, there was days that I just was at wit's end, and I was like, this guy's driving me crazy, right? But in the end, I was so prepared for those because of his grill sessions that he had with me. And just always he had time for his grad students and teaching them to be prepared for whatever they wanted to do. Yep. So very thankful for him in that. But funny Bill Weiss story.
How about a car story? maybe racing out to the dairy barn in one of his
Oh
race
yeah,
cars.
yeah. Bill was always a very simple man, but he loved his cars. That was his one thing that was
His passion.
his passion. Yep. And so I think it was my second year, he bought a Porsche, a Cayman.
Oh my goodness.
A red one. Fanciest car on OARDC campus by far. And you know, like you said, he would always be active in the sample process and stuff like that. So I think it was a Saturday, you know, I come to the office at 8 a.m. He's already probably been there for 2 hours, and we hopped in his Cayman and went to the OARDC farm, pulled some blood samples, got our shoes with some manure on them, hopped back in and drove back. And that was the journey. But he never let me drive that car, though. he let me drive his truck, but
Not the car.
not the car.
I had that same experience, except I was early on in his career. It wasn't a Porsche, it was a Firebird Trans Am, a red one, that we raced out to the OARDC facility, and he went from there, I think, to a BMW to a Porsche. So he upgraded every year.
Yep. Yeah.
Listen, Alex, you've been a great guest and enjoyed our time together here. Looking forward to the presentation tomorrow. Certainly be there, and maybe Bill will be here if we can get him rounded up tonight from Newark.
Yeah.
Give him a fast car. He'll be up here.
Exactly. Say, Bill, rent a Porsche.
Rent a Porsche. Get up here, Bill.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
no, I really appreciate spending time here with you today. This has been a good one to end our first day on. This is the end of day one. There will be another one here coming up. Anyway, appreciate you guys spending some time with us today. Also appreciate our audience for spending time, as always. We hope you learned something. We hope you had some fun. We hope to see you next time here at the Real Science Exchange, where it's always happy hour and you're always among friends.